week where we would come onto a call, virtual, and obviously we're looking for direction. And the person you're looking direction from as well is like nothing.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, let's try again tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's when I realized like, yo, the business might tank. My bros,
Away.
what's happening?
Nah, nothing much. I'm chilling.
Yeah.
As always.
Firstly, shout out to us for getting this off the ground.
Yeah, I mean, it's been, I don't know how many years in the making.
Firstly, it's not even off the ground yet.
Yeah.
Because if this goes past the SS.
I mean, it better not go past to this guy.
But yeah, like I said, I think shout out to us for getting this up off the ground, simply because, there's been a lot of things that we're trying to get off the ground and life happening and all of that. Probably excuses as well.
Yeah, I think for me, a lot of it get the excuse and time. But also time is a real thing because in the last 2 years or whatever, you haven't had time to do anything. And I've just been in limbo with regards to my availability anyway. So I guess, that's part of the reason why.
Yeah. But I think, look, to your point, the last 2 years have been crazy. About to wrap this thing up now. But it was time that something comes up as well. So, which is also tricky because I think what that means for us as well is, even this series in itself, we're not gonna roll out as much content this year.
Yeah.
But I think getting it to the market, because we think it's important, so getting it out there, I think, at least let's drop something this year.
I mean, dog, I already have a failed podcast, so this can't fail, dog. So...
I mean... Yeah, we don't have to go there, bro.
Yeah, fair enough.
But look, I think let's get to it. The biggest thing, what is this thing? So, cool, the game. Call it the game series, but what is it? But I think the background matters as well. I think the first time we spoke about this, we talk about PVD friends, right? And then let's invite people to our hikes. And then, because a lot of conversations happen there. Like we talk about everything under the sun, bro.
But also you need to then break down what is the initial idea of PVD friends, right?
Yeah, but we don't have to go there. But what I'm saying is like for the game to come up, we're like, okay, add PVD friends, let's get people in. The topics that we talk about, let's bring someone that's like relevant to that space and let's bring them in, let's pick their brain.
Yeah.
But I'm glad how this has evolved though, because I think what's happening is the robust conversations happen at so many levels. Like we will discuss things from like brand side, event organizer side or creatives, and then we'll go to like the experience from the agency when you're creating experiences for like brands. And then now, which has been the interesting spin, I think the academic lens to it.
Yeah.
And I think for me, why that matters, explaining, like there's a big thing of like people doing well in their space, but also not being aware of the business model. So I think that academic lens to explain that might make such a insightful contribution to like really extract some real value.
And I think for me, part of this will then explain the ecosystem, because a lot of how people perceive everything, the ecosystem of eventing or brands or marketing or whatever, is like people have one lens of it. If you're an agency, you have one lens of what agency does. If you're in corporate, you have one lens of what corporate does. If you're a consumer, you just want to do the experiential stuff. So
yeah, I think it's that like you looking at your own corner and what makes sense for you, but really missing how things might be connected.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly where we're trying to sit, that intersection of academia, business from brands, you as a creative, whatever you're doing, and the game in this context as well. For us, it's going to be whatever topic or field that we tapping into.
100%.
So cool, that's what the game series is.
Yeah, 100%.
But why do we have the right to talk about it?
I personally, I don't think I do. I just think that these are conversations that I have with you all the time. So I might as well just put them out there.
Yeah.
I don't know who's listening. I don't know who's taking a sound bite to do what with it. But I think for me, it's like we've had these conversations in our normal everyday chats, but it's an opportunity for us to just get the broader society and the community that we
Yeah,
are part of, to be part of these conversations, because we can take lessons from there. You know what I'm saying? And maybe we can give lessons. I don't know.
Yeah,
100%.
And I think even outside of our PVD friends walks and talks, like during the day, bro, like work hours, you be like sending links from LinkedIn, like, yo, what do you think? What's your take on this? Or like Formula One would announce with Louis Vuitton the 10-year deal, and like, yo, what's your take on this? So yeah, I think those, it's like all these things that interest us, how do we bring them to the people and say, yo, this is our take on it? But it's also not just an opinion based on this is what we feel. It's like anchoring it in something, whether then we agree or we don't, that's a different conversation. But I think I always say we all have opinions, but like, what are we anchoring it in?
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of this for us. But let's track back a bit, bro. How many years now? 2019 to now, how many years is that? 6 years.
Yeah, 6 years.
So we met 2019.
Yeah, Jesus.
But I think we weren't closing 2019 until the latter part of it.
Yeah, I think for me, we were not close, because I personally, just as a by the way, I tell you this all the time, nigga na norosnai. So I was like, yeah, this guy who's always quiet next to me, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But I think naturally, with having the same interest and being in that space, 2019 then allowed us to just talk more and just bond more.
Just put on record now that you don't think I'm a snob.
I mean, I'm not gonna say that, because you have your moments, but sure.
Yeah. But I think what really, outside of work and all of that, like just, because outside of this, or like 2019 at Homecoming, doing gigs and all of that, like now we boys.
Yeah.
But I think that was like, that got solidified. Like I think I spent Jan until just before COVID.
Yeah.
At your house.
Yeah.
Basically homeless. Well, not homeless.
Wow.
But
yeah,
shout out to your mom though for saying
yeah.
yes, because your black parents.
I think so. Yeah.
Because I think I hit you up, I was like, yo, dude, we just came out of. No. I was like, yo, I want to do a second stint at Homecoming.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things that were not in place yet though. So I'm like, yo.
So this is 2020 early.
Yeah, before COVID.
Yeah.
Because then I stayed there. I think I stayed by your place. Obviously then I leave with the COVID announcement.
Yeah.
Going back and say, and then obviously we were shut down for like the longest time.
The whole year, basically.
Yeah. I think our relationship like really, really intensified during that time.
Yeah, 100%.
But I think shout out to your mom, bro, though, because she could have said no.
I mean, she couldn't say.
But what was crazy when I got to your house was like, that felt like my home. Like, not like I'm home, but like sounded like my house.
Yeah, you say that all the time. Yeah, you say that all the time.
Your mom was loud, bro. That's the difference though between your mom and I. Very strict, but my mom was like quiet.
Yeah.
Your mom was shout the whole time alone.
Why do you think I'm always this loud, bro? I get it from somewhere.
Okay, cool. So that's that. But I think then, for me, I think the foundation we lay at Homecoming is so instrumental to what we do here today. Wow, what we're doing like in our everyday lives. But again, the trajectory that we go on to move at, and really just one, the career trajectory that we follow, our interests and really deep diving into that. And then obviously the other things that, like for me even now, continuing with my academics and all of that is really anchored in like, how do I advance like the business of sports and entertainment? Which even with our own stuff, that's really, really the space that we want to play in.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
Memories from Homecoming? Let me do this. Yeah. When I say memory, let me come from this, because I always held this perspective that if you're born in Pretoria and you want to be an intern at Homecoming, you're doing it for clout.
Yeah.
Because like, you know who these guys are.
Yeah.
You know who these guys are. You want to go work at the hottest properties, have access, and. I came here, I was like, yo, guys, I'm doing an event back home. I'm not getting sponsors. How are you guys getting it right?
Yeah.
So for me, when I say memories from Homecoming, two things. I suppose the fun side of it, what was like your top memory? And then the other side, what was the key thing that you took out as whether how we operated, how they operated the business? Because Because I think there's always a huge misconception, especially when like you now work there and you realize that, yo, at Groove I actually have to work.
I think,
And leading up to this. So yeah.
so just the fun side of it is just the everyday office going, and
Is that the fun side?
so that's why I'm trying to bring it back home to say, when you go to the office, it's like you plan these things, but when you see them blossom on a Saturday or a Sunday at Fontaine, that for me, it's like the fun side. It's like when you're pulling each other's hairs in the office, and like when somebody is not sending an email, or like somebody forgot to respond, it's like it gets really terrible, right? But when at the end of the week, when you see all of that come together, it's like, oh, you have a reflection to say, okay, cool, that was dope. It's like at the end of every paddle session that you have, it's like, that was tough, but it was dope. I think for me, I get my fun side of things from those things. Like,
you love being outside though.
Yeah,
so
that's also another
that makes
thing.
sense.
I think for me, to answer your question, is like both of those things are like intertwined.
We like day and night though. Like I'll take an opportunity to stay home, bro. Like,
I mean, again, I always say wabora.
But
sure.
So I think for me, the two things, bro, was, I think the biggest thing for me was, yo, access is key, bro. And people will do anything for access.
To be there.
But you see it even in professional spaces, dude. Like if you think of the concept of sponsorship, it's really playing on that access thing.
At a higher level.
At the high, whether it's at a golf level for like high net worth individuals. So I think for me, I learned that from that time yet. In that space, obviously, it looks very like low currency. It looks very street, right? But when you get to corporate, you're like, yeah, but that's why Formula One sponsorship exists. Like you get billionaires fighting to get into spaces. So that was the key one. The second one, I mean, there are many, but I think the other one was like, I quickly realized this was a serious business. Because I got there, you would expect also the people running this thing that is like, I think at the time it was about 13, 14 years. You'd expect them to like really look cool. And they were probably the least cool people in that office.
Yeah, because there's work to be done.
Like if anything, the young ones around were like much cooler. And they just like flops and shorts and
But because also cool is like very relative. So it's like...
Yeah, but like from what you think, like, because a lot of times like you want to do these things. Yeah, maybe you're passionate, but you also maybe want to be the coolest guy on the block, right?
That's also another.
But then you're like, you can be, as long as you understand that the work needs to get done. Because when you think of all the stakeholders that then come interact with you, they're trying to extract some value from this property of yours. So I quickly realized that, yo, it is a real business. That's why, like, for years globally, you get properties that are massive, bro. So yeah, the homecoming time was crazy.
Yeah, I think I was saying to you that it was a time.
Yeah, but the other things, that was crazy.
Time. I think, and it happened at the perfect positioning in our lives where, because we have this thing now of before and after COVID. I think the homecoming time was before COVID, and we were young and we did everything that we needed to do then. And then post COVID, it gave us another perspective to go about our lives. That's why you do what you do in your daily professional life, and I do what I do in my daily professional life, and that's why we are here to try and see what we can do together.
But you know, COVID is actually one of the things that demonstrated to me that this thing is a real business. Bro, COVID was so crazy. Obviously, you were not there anymore because I was then doing my second year. I think we had a whole week where we would come onto a call, virtual, and obviously we're looking for direction. And the person you're looking direction from as well is like nothing. It's like, yo, let's try again tomorrow. And that's when I realized like, yo, the business might tank. But now you realize like, if you're running a solid ship, now credibility matters. Because if people are gonna try different formats of this business now, what you've done previously, credibility, professionalism in this space matters now. Bro, we were talking some crazy idea. The fact that we thought at any point we could bring what the physical space felt like onto TV, that was just desperate measures.
Yeah.
But I think I think that the breakthrough was, I think that it was like 50% capacity of venues.
Yeah,
Breakfast Club then comes.
Breakfast Club then comes.
Yeah, so now you're like, I bet. You say what? Don't worry.
Mimosas at 10
Yeah.
a.m. Cool.
But then to scale that even further, you say Sun City bubble format, 2020, I think it was 1,005 packs. Oh no, of 500 people, obviously over 3 days. Then you rescue not just your business, not just your employees, but even corporations as big as Sun International. Like you've just gave them a solution to like occupy rooms. You're like,
and just perception. I think also once you've built those solid relationships over the years, as you could see when you were there, it's like people value those relationships. It's like you could just make a call and things will happen because people that you know have the capacity to make things happen for you. And I think that's also one of the pretty dope things that happened there.
And I think that's exactly what I want us to be. For me, the success of this thing would be if we can land that, right? Because we saw it those days, early days, and now we're obviously creating and extracting value in different spaces that we sit now through this creative space. And whether it's that internally or when you interact with creatives and all of that, but it's just getting every stakeholder understanding the pieces that they play. And I suppose then this brings us to like, obviously the first episode was going to be about business of events, right?
I mean, of course, because you're here and you're the guy, you're the events guy. Yeah.
But again, like just our background, I think of all the passion points, that's like anything we look at mostly, we probably look at it from that lens. Like Formula One in itself, we look at it like as an event. I think it brings us to that, like obviously, so just so that everyone knows, that's what the first series is going to be about, business of events. And the reason we call it a series is because like every topic or field we touch on is going to be packaged in like a couple of episodes, where episode 1 for me, very fundamental that it covers either principles or like frameworks or from an academic lens that explain that space. That's essential because I guess for me, if we trying to be at the intersection of all the stakeholders and extract all of this knowledge from those different pockets, we need to anchor it into something. And again, like opinions should not just be out of air, anchor it into something. 100%. And then episode 2 or like the next episode will be something that if we choose to like zone into a specific area of that topic. And then the last one, case in point, we have to provide case studies that like then explain everything that we've spoken about.
100%. I
think it's going to be exhausting to shoot these things. I don't know, Sean and PJ needs to figure out how we do this thing.
I mean,
but I don't know. Like I said, this year we're just doing business of events. We're doing we'll call it one series, 3-4 episodes. That's it for the rest of the year. But hopefully they're impactful enough, bro, like to sustain the year.
I mean, I hope so.
But hopefully in the new year, like we can really push a lot of these.
I think just to ask you, maybe you'll elaborate further in the next episode, but why business of events, firstly? Just on your point.
I think for us, selfishly, that's one of the things we think we know the most. It continues to be like a very, very pressing passion point, but again, also explains the journey. Like, dude, 2016, I'm doing my second year. I do an event back home. I just can't clock it. I'm like, dude, like, we asked sponsorship in Jan, no budgets. In June, no budget. Like, when do you have budget? So it's then going back to be like, okay, let me go to the guys that have done it, and then, guys, how do you do this thing? You know? So given that this space where we sit now, professionally, in our personal capacities, I think that's like where the journey began. It's only fitting that maybe we start there.
No, 100%,
you know what I mean?
I hear you.
As to what the other things are going to be, that's going to be interesting. I have no idea.
It built itself up, but
then we have to deal with Hlonela telling us what to do and what not to do.
You gotta get Hlonela in here, but it's fine.
Big dog.
We'll see what.
I think that's our intro video, bro.
100%.
Let's go.
Away.